Welcome to the Fat Dad Fishing Show podcast, a podcast aimed at helping saltwater fishermen catch more fish in less time and have a better on-the-water experience. My name is Rich, and this week I'm joined by the regular co-hosts Ed, owner of Captain Hank's Tackle, and John, owner of Creeley Custom Rods. And we're welcoming on the show Jake Canna to talk about the results of the Grassy Sound Flounder Tournament. Jake fished in the kayak division and ended the day in first place for kayaks and also with the largest fish of the day. So this is a fun one. So kick back, relax, and take it all in. This is going to be a pretty cool one tonight. We had the Grassy Sound tournament for Fluke this past weekend, and we've got some stories from that and some lessons learned and all of that other good stuff. So hopefully we can help some people get on the fish when you're out on the water this week and next week and whenever during the summer. We've got the 4th of July holiday coming up. And we actually had the tournament winner for the kayak division and overall biggest flounder, and we'll talk to him as well. That's Jake. But before we get rolling with all of that, let me welcome on the co-hosts tonight. We have Ed, owner of Captain Hank's Tackle, and John, owner of Creeley Custom Rods. Guys, how you doing?
Doing well. Happy to be back on another Monday. I was off last week, so it's a little weird.
Yeah. Last week was it was, I don't know. It's kind of like a return to the roots, right? Where I was solo.
Did you miss us?
I did miss you. It's I never remember how difficult it is to run comments and all the other stuff, but now I remember. So I guess, Ed, I was taking you for granted.
Well,
for all the stuff.
Apology accepted.
So, welcome back, John. How you doing, man?
I'm still beat up from Saturday.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. John looked like a freaking corpse when he came off the water. He just had that look in his eye, like I've just been whooped twice, and somebody picked me up, and it just looked like somebody was dragging him around. I mean, he was whooped.
Yeah.
Oh man! So as we jump into this, I want to say hi to Bill and Participation Trophy, Joe, who was out fishing with us, Rob. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. This is going to be like I said, a pretty good one. Before we jump in and bring Jake on, let's just go through. Ed, what do you got going on in your world with Captain Hank's?
Well, after getting most of my orders caught up, I was able to launch the new ball jigs like I was telling everybody about. So we named them, what are they? Captain's balls. So they're going to be a standard ball jig, plain color, no eyes, just hook and weight. And then for, guys that like them hairy, we have the Captain's hairy balls. So we'll tie a bucktail on them and, again, plain round head and, just basic colors. I did put an option for custom stuff. I do have a bunch of other colors. But for right now, I'm just going to leave them, green, white, pink. If there's anything special you guys want, let us know.
I love those names, man. I just laugh every time.
It's got to be fun, man. It's got to be something different. It's got to be fun. And
yeah, it is. For those that, well, nobody would know this, but Ed, when he puts something up new, he'll send me a text and he'll just say thoughts, and then he'll send the pictures of the page on the website. And I just looked at him like, man, that is pure gold. Those are great names. I'm going to feel weird ordering them because I usually do it over the phone.
Can we get an order of hairy balls, please?
Yeah. Can I get the Captain's hairy balls, please, there, Ed? How many would you like? Just 2.
Definitely sounds something like out of South Park.
It definitely does. I agree.
That may or may not be my favorite show.
I'm sure it is. So you've got those. They're up on the website right now if anyone's interested in checking those out. And it looks like you've been getting quite a few orders coming in.
Yeah, it's been good. So I just, I'll take a minute to say thank you to everyone for the support. I guess I can touch on it now. I met a couple customers at the tournament, and one of them actually did pretty well. We'll get into that later. But again, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all the support, and, you guys supporting me allows me to get out and do stuff like this. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. You got to look at this comment real quick. For those that are listening to the podcast later in the week from Participation Trophy, have a New Year's sale and call it the ball drop.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, today was the ball
like
drop,
that.
but yeah.
Well, today was the initial ball drop. The ball's going to drop once a year. John, what do you got going on?
Not too much. Just hanging back, fished the tournament Saturday, waiting on a couple blanks to come in, get some customer projects going, and yeah, looking forward to the next tournament, I guess.
And the next tournament is
Duke of Fluke, July
Duke of Fluke.
16th, I believe it is. Whatever the Saturday is, 16th or 17th.
Yep, I just got confirmed. I'll be there.
And I will be there as well. Anybody who wants to meet us down there and go out with us, go ahead and sign up for it. The kayak division is $100. I did not look at the boat division or land. I don't know if they have a separate one for land or not. So I'm looking forward to that. So we'll have a little bit of a break between tournaments, and then we'll be back out there. Wanted to say for me real quick, before just about to bring on Jake, I had a great time fishing this tournament. I did horrible. I did absolutely horrible. My best fish was a striped bass. It was great getting out with people like Joe and Ed and John. And John wasn't really with us, actually. John launched about 1.5 miles away from us and only showed up for a very brief period of time. Randy was out there. Mike, who was very entertaining. It's too bad Mike's not on tonight because we're going to make fun of him in a little bit. But I want to echo you, Ed. It was awesome to meet people afterwards at the awards section of it. Big Nasty Nate 24 on Instagram was at the table next to us, and he ended up winning $6,000.
Should have been Jacob $6,000.
It should have been Jacob. Yes, it should have been. It should have been him. So let's bring Jake on right now. Jake, welcome to the stream. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you,
man. It was I'm so happy for you because the fish that you caught was a beast, but I also feel bad for you because you didn't enter the Calcutta.
Yeah.
But as I kept saying, I wouldn't have, I don't enter that anyway myself. It's $100 I mean, that's a big swing that you take in. And especially when you're in a kayak, but let's just show people that are watching the live stream. There's the biggest fish of the day. There you are with the top position for kayak fishing. And why don't you tell us a little bit about this fish, the dimensions and all of that good stuff?
Yeah. So prior, I've never seen flounder that big. I've caught like 20 inchers, 21 inchers. And when I first saw it, I was blew away. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And prior to catching that fish, I caught a dog shark or doggy.
Yep.
And I thought it could have been that, and then it started growing on me, started getting heavier. I started seeing the water, and I was surprised. I didn't know what to do. I was looking for my net, was scrambling around.
So let me ask you. Okay, so for those again that can see this is what, a 26.5 inch, but this thing is fat. Like this is a 6.8 pound from the kayak in the backwaters in mid June. And let me ask you, when you hooked this, did you feel at first like you were snagged?
Yeah. So I thought it was just stuck on like an oyster bed or something. And then it started coming up very like slowly. And then I felt the head shake, and I knew it was something was coming up.
That's a beautiful one. And here's a fun question that I have. John, how did you feel watching him right next to you pull this fish in?
Oh, man. You just come out
in front of you.
Let me tell you, I'm glad Jake talked first because I did not want to take that away from him. I said, damn it. I thought I had a fish on because I snagged, because Jake said the same exact thing. I go over the spot. It's a little pothole. The bait was just stacked up on the screen. I'm like, there's going to be a big fluke in here. I'm snagged. Boom, boom. I'm going to make that run again real quick. I look behind Jake. There's got to be, 4 or 5 boats. I'm like, I'm not going to pick that fish up. Well, thankfully, Jake picked the fish up.
I remember you saying that too in the water. It was like, man, you got to try it again.
Jake, I'm very happy for you stealing his fish. I will say that is a great spot. We're not going to tell everyone exactly where it was. I think enough people know that we're out on the water because there was a lot of oh my gods going on around the water when that fish came up. When you see a true backwater doormat come up like that. Everybody noticed. Everybody came over to look. Jake, you were very kind to everybody coming up to you saying, "Can you just pull it out of the water one more time?" So your fishing was pretty much at an end for a while there, as every boat and every kayak came by wanting to look at it and get a picture. But man, that spot is a great spot. It is, and again, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's heavy structure, which is a lot of snags at the bottom, and there's a great current flow and a great predictable current flow around that structure. So it's one of the things that we've talked about in the past that is, it's just, you got to check those places, right? And as John proved, John went over just right ahead of you, right?
Yeah, he was like probably like 30 feet, maybe 50 feet.
I was going to say probably anywhere from 25 to 30 feet. So
yeah. So it's interesting. We were talking about this before you caught that. Now we weren't near Jake, the group that I was with when he ended up catching it. We were around the corner, but so I guess we were about 100 yards away, maybe 150 yards away.
Yeah, about that.
But earlier we were talking about a spot where Mike had hooked into a really nice one, which I think probably would have taken second place had he. We'll go into what happened, but
poor guy.
The thing is, there were multiple kayaks and boats drifting literally the same spot within 15 feet of where Mike caught it, and there had probably been 3 or 4 dozen passes right over that, same baits, same presentations. And we were talking about it when everybody left. It was before Mike hooked that big one, and I was talking to Randy. I think I was talking to Joe. I said, everybody just picks up and leaves after 2 drifts, and that's not how you do it. You could be off by 1 foot, and that fluke is not going to come grab it. And I think, John, you and Jake just kind of proved that down there with that big fish. John, you went right over. He came right behind you, and he took it. We went over the same spot that Mike was on dozens of times. I mean, you should see my GPS.
Yeah, between there was
the trails.
5 of us, and then there was 2 boats in the mix, and there's a ton of lines in the water.
Yeah, and the boats had 3 people per boat going over it. So it just shows that, if you're in the right spot, sometimes you have to work the spot. They're just, it's not like you go over the fish once and you're guaranteed to get it. You just gotta, if you're in the right spot, you gotta work it. And, you guys, Jake, you showed that, man. You showed that. So let's go into a couple of things that I know people are going to ask. What kind of rig or jig did you have on when you hooked? Now I know the answer, but I'm asking for everybody that doesn't know the answer. What did you have on the end? Were you fishing a rig, or did you have a bucktail, or what?
I prefer the single jig, just lead head, with angler's clip, with a 5-inch pink grub.
The pink shine?
Yeah.
Gulp grub?
Shine. Yep.
Okay. And how are you working that? Were you casting it? Were you casting it out, or were you vertical jigging it?
I was vertical jigging it.
Okay.
I do like to mix it up. I like to make sure I have contact on the bottom.
As I say, are you a Skinner? Are you a Skinner rapid jig, or are you more of a lift and drop?
I would say I'm in between, because sometimes I just let it sit there. Sometimes they wait for it. I was fishing a week prior, and they were just mouthing it, and I wasn't able to hook them. So it depends, I guess, on the day also.
I personally was changing up my presentation the whole day. I just couldn't figure it out. And then I tried to cheat, and I looked at what Mike was doing, because Mike was doing pretty well. And I was mimicking him, and I was like, well, that's not working. So I just kept trying different things throughout the whole day. Ed, what were you doing?
I was doing everything. I tried everything. I don't know. Wasn't my day. I had a couple shorts, and 1 slot fish, 17.99. So I weighed.
You got to weigh a fish.
Yeah, I weighed it, but it wasn't good for anything.
Oh, it's good for dinner. John, what were you doing?
Pretty much high-low. Either I went high-low, or I went with a ball jig with a teaser hook up top. Primarily, that's what I fished all day. And then at one point, I just got lazy and decided I wanted to drag bait with a high-low. Had more success just bouncing bottom and had a lot of fish on the killies again.
Yeah, I had a lot on. I did the high low for most of it, so I did a lot of changing up because it just wasn't falling the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up with a single jig, high low. I also used just a plain lead head with a soft plastic. I used some slow pitch jigs, and that absolutely got nothing, not a touch. And I went through every kind of gulp that I had that was convenient. I started off with the 5-inch pink shine grubs. I had new penny grubs. That's where I got the most bites on and the most fish. And I went through the jerk shads, nothing. I didn't catch one fish on a jerk shad. Man, I went through everything. And you know what it was? That you could tell the fish were there, but they were just kind of bumping it. And they weren't really aggressively taking anything, at least for me. Jake, when you hooked that one, did it just grab it and go, or did it just kind of pick it up and just hold it?
It sort of just picked it up and held it there for a little bit until I started pulling it up, and then it said just stop for a few seconds, and then made a big run.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing like a flounder run because it's such a surprise. You forget that they do have some power. They don't have a lot. I mean, they have a lot of power. They don't have a lot of staying power though. Yeah. Like they get like one run, maybe two, and then they're done.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of equipment we're using? The reel, the braid, and the rod.
I guess my favorite rod is the Shimano X Pride. It's just their bass rod lineup.
Yep.
It's 7.2 medium heavy. It says it's rated for 1/2 to 3/4 ounce.
There's no way you were using a 3/4 ounce, were you? You were using like a 1.5, right?
I was using a 1/2.
You were using a 1/2, and you got to the bottom where you were.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was around a slack tide, I think. So it took a little longer.
That was the last 45 minutes of the incoming, wasn't it? Or no, the outgoing.
Outgoing.
Oh man, I would have bet that you could not have fished that spot with that weight. I mean, for those watching and listening, that's a deep area. I mean, it goes from shallow to deep real quick. And in order to keep contact with the bottom, you must have really been working that jig down that ledge.
Yeah.
Like you didn't start at 30 feet, right? You started up shallow and came down the ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart move. Well done.
Thank you.
See the question in here from Philly Girl. Well, not a question. Philly Girl Fishing, previous guest who has just curious if slow pitch jigs would work for fluke. I know they do, but they did not work for me this past weekend. Now, I didn't have it on a slow pitch rod. I had it just on kind of like a bit of a whippy medium weight spinning rod. So I haven't found the rod that I wanted yet. So I just figured I'd give it a go if nothing went right, and nothing went right as far as getting a big fish. So I just decided I was just going to give it a go for a little bit, and it just wasn't working very well at all for me. Now we have Mike Warrener, and Mike is also a previous guest. He was out fishing with us. Let's talk a little bit about what he did. So Mike is... I kind of wish he was on because I'd like to make fun of him in front of him. And Jake, I know you've heard this because we were sitting with you at the awards thing, but Mike came out the gate and he was getting some decent sized fish, and he was really working that one area, and he hooked into a big one. Now it turns out it was going to be shy, Jake, of what you caught. So he didn't drop the winning fish, but
well, at that point it was.
At that point it was.
Yep.
It might have been the second place fish. It was very close to another one, I think, in size. So let's call it the third place fish, which I don't know if there's any money or winnings in that. I have no idea. Mike pulls it out. He's hooting and hollering. He's excited. It's a big fish. It's over 25 inches. And he decides he's going to measure it on the kayak. Now, Mike doesn't use any fish grips. So he takes the hook out and holds it on top of his paddle, and guess where it went? It started. I'm across the way. I mean, I'm not even really that close. I can see him, and I'm hoping I had the video camera on. I can see him, and all of a sudden you hear him yell, and then you hear like the thumping and the slapping of the fish on the kayak, but it's not on the deck, it's on the side, so it's on the gunnel. And I look over, and Mike like half dives on top of it, which kind of compresses it onto the deck, and then it gets even faster, and it just goes up in the air on the gunnel and flips over, and Mike is halfway into a dive to chase it into the water. 20 feet, 15 feet of water. He's ready to dive after an unhooked flounder. Like he's going to catch it. So yeah, he I wish he was on right now to make fun of, because he would have been second or third place in that thing. That was a big fish. It was a big fish.
All I heard was him screaming the F word.
He was screaming the F word. I thought Creeley had snuck into the area when we weren't looking, because John's usually the only one that I hear yelling the F bomb out on the water. But Mike is like the most chill guy on the water, but he was not at that moment. He was sweating.
He's here and he's still crying.
Yeah, and of course I had to tell everybody that we that we passed that he lost it, and he kept yelling at me to shut up. But man, I told everybody, I'm like, you fish in the tournament? No. Well, let me tell you about this guy who was and lost the winning fish. Joe Billups was there too. Yeah.
When he told me how he lost it, I looked at it, I'm like, are you stupid? Like, what? You know when a fish is a keeper. You just know. He should have just dispatched it and then measured it later.
Yeah, it was, and that's the thing. But we've all done it. We've all lost. Anyone in a kayak has lost a fish overboard that was a keeper, because you can't keep yourself from measuring it, right? And anytime and you want to get the accurate measurement, so you take the hook out or you take the grips off just for a second, and that, I mean, I have a video. The thumbnail is the airborne flounder jumping out of the kayak last year. John, you were there when that happened.
Yeah, that was that's the secret spot.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, that is the secret spot that John always talks about. And so I get why he did it, but lesson to anybody who's doing a tournament. I mean, Mike will admit he knew better, but he just let the excitement of the moment overtake him, and he did what he knew he should not have done. So
I think we need to take up a collection and get Mike a bump board and fish grips.
Yeah, but I want to go back to Jake, because Jake, you did it the right way. You measured the fish while you were on the water, and you did it the right way. So why don't you tell everyone why don't you tell Mike how to properly measure a fish in a tournament?
All right. So what happened? I finally got the flounder up, and I go to net it, and it jumps out of the net, like it's in the net, and then it jumps right out, and then it makes a huge run. And then I net it again, and it jumps the second time, and its head is out of the water, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna lose this. There's no way I can get this one, and my heart's racing. And then I finally get him, and I finally have him in my lap. I have my stringer. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? I know what to do, but I'm just so in the moment. I'm freaking out, but I knew I wanted this fish, so I got the stringer, put it through, made sure it was secure.
While it's in the net.
While it's in the net. That's
you didn't take it out of the net.
Yep. And
then you measured it, I guess, with the stringer through its face in the net, right?
In the net. Yep. That's how I measured it, just to be safe.
That's how you measure when you can only keep one over, in an over slot. And that one's obviously going to be the one. That's how you measure in a tournament. Who cares if you have the extra half inch or inch on there at that point? You're just getting a gauge to calm down, so that the answer. And I think that's where Mike made the big mistake. Never take it out of that net. I was surprised though, Jake. You have a really small net. How did you fit it in there? That didn't make any sense to me. That looks like it's only about 10 inches wide.
Yeah, it's the smaller Yak Attack net that they have, and the body curved a little bit just to fit. So I can't believe I was able to land it.
Is it the net that has the arm brace on it?
It does.
The leverage? The leverage net. Okay. The reason that I didn't buy that is because I was nervous about getting a big fluke in there. I actually have it at all times sitting in my cart. I'm that close to buying it.
I need a bigger net, man. I was so scared. I wouldn't use that again.
You almost have to turn it sideways because it's not a circle. It's an oval, but it doesn't make any sense unless you bring it in sideways.
Yeah, I was like, how am I gonna fit this? Man, yeah, I just need to grab a bigger net next time.
Yeah, definitely.
So Rich, as a witness, don't buy the net. Just don't.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
I
had that really cheap one that's just terrible. It can't hold much weight. But I like it because it's telescoping, and I've lost a couple of nets because 99% of them don't float, and the ones that do float suck. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out the net. Andrew Sokol is telling me I just get a bigger net already. I just don't like the bigger nets because I'm on a kayak and it will spin you when it's windy. If you can't retract it or stow it anywhere. So, I mean, I watch Ed spin all the time.
Nah.
Yeah. I have definitely.
No, in the big boat, yes. That thing, any gust of wind, it'll take it, but not really.
So we have seen, all right, so we're getting some recommendations for nets. I'm going to go back through these comments later and look, because I have to get a new one. There were a couple of people that were in the tournament. So was it Grassy in the boat division, had a great time. And there was somebody else that was in there. Actually, why don't you talk about one of the guys that you met there, Ed, who also had a really good day?
Which one? Chris?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Chris Gould. He's one of our customers. He ordered jigs like a couple days prior to the tournament. And I was standing there with Jacob after he got his award, and I heard the name, and I'm like, wait a second, I know that name. So I real quick went through the orders on my phone, and I'm like, yeah. So when he came back by, I was like, hey, are you Chris that ordered from me? And he's like, yeah, I love your stuff, whatever. I'm like, that's awesome. So later on, he came up to me and we were sitting at the table and we had a nice conversation. It was nice to meet, finally meet him.
That's cool seeing people that buy your product.
Yeah, and I think he had, what did he have? The two heaviest fish, I think. Or the two heaviest bag or something. I forget.
That's what he wants. So Captain Hanks didn't have a bad day. The two heaviest fish were on Captain Hanks. Mike did come in sixth. So he had the Maggie May award. So Mike Warner, despite losing that one, he did weigh a decent, I think it was 19 and a half or 20. So he placed, he got his money back, which is always a good break even, to break even on a tournament. Jake, you ended up winning for the kayak division, but you didn't do the Calcutta, which gave it to, was that what went to Big Nasty Nate and his buddy?
I didn't catch the guy's name. Mike would know. He made friends with everyone.
It was the guys at the table.
Yeah, next to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so they won the Calcutta then, right? Or was it somebody else?
I think it was. Yeah, they won the Calcutta. They won something else too. They placed in the tournament. Yeah, they placed in the tournament and they won the Calcutta. So they had a great day.
They won everything, and they won like 2 door prizes.
Yeah.
I won nothing. Except I did get in the line for food early, so I was pretty happy about that. John, looking like death coming off the water, had to wait until the very end. Like you wouldn't have been able to get up there. Did you even get food, or did you just bail?
I just went home, dude. I was so done. I pushed it till 4:30. I was like, "There's got to be a bigger fish than this 27-inch flounder. There has to be." I tried, man. I pushed it till 4:30.
Yeah, it was
I got nothing.
It was a long day. Ibrexy's saying they had 3 keepers, 20, a 17 and 3/4, and a 17. So you did much better than I did. And Joe is saying that Big Nasty Nate 24, they won the first place for the boat and got the Calcutta. So they did pretty well. So it was an interesting tournament. I thought it was fun. But let's talk about the bite. So I didn't talk to anybody who had a really consistent bite. There were big fish, there were little fish, there were medium fish, but they were not like it's like the bite never just turned on and stayed on. Like it was random picks. Like I think almost everybody was in a grind for the whole day. What do you think about that? Jake, was that how it was for you?
Yeah, so I hooked a slot fish, like 17 1/4. That was the only other fluke I caught that day. So I didn't have much hope for finding them, but worked out. Ended up finding one. It only takes one, I guess.
Well, in that tournament, it only took one. Yeah. John, did you get on a consistent bite at all? Again, we weren't near you at all, and we went hours in between talking. So was there anything consistent besides the micros?
The first hour I thought it was going to be lights out the first hour. I think I had my line in at like 6:35. I made it back. I went south into some back creeks, anywhere from 15 to 50 feet. And 17, 12, 16. I just couldn't find any slots. Decided to move forward. I think, Jake, I met you around 10 o'clock, I think, right? 10, 10:30.
So,
And that was part of my plan, was keep pushing closer to the inlet with this outflowing water, fish that 35 feet area. And just I couldn't find a consistent, aggressive bite. It seemed as the day went on, and then when the water did change to an incoming tide, that water was cold. It was real.
It was
cold.
dirty too.
It was dirty. We got that south wind that came in.
Yeah, it was clean in the morning. It was very clean in the morning.
Yeah, it was like blue. It was beautiful.
Yeah, Mike made the comment when he saw that fish go back in, he saw it go all the way down. Like, because you could see forever in that water. In the afternoon, it was maybe 1.5 feet. It was like, light chocolate milk. It wasn't the real dark, but I guess it was the south wind, because once that incoming really hit, it was just everything turned off for me. The afternoon was terrible, except if you want to catch striped bass, which apparently I did.
Or dogfish. That was consistent for me.
Well, the afternoon, I went back to where I originally started, and it seemed to actually turn back on, even as dirty as the water was. I was getting a lot of bites, but I was missing them. And I think because of the water being cold, they were kind of sluggish again. So they kind of sat there, played with it, nudged it, not really gave you that aggressive bite. So I think that was a lot of my problem. And I know I missed a couple big fish, but hey, it's part of the game.
I don't know if I missed a big fish, but I will tell you this. I'm going to admit this, because I screwed up. I got a bite, and yes, John, I was using the rod that you made. So my favorite rod, and I wasn't paying close enough attention apparently, and my hands were wet, and whatever it was, I was doing the real rapid jigging, and it hit, and it almost ripped it out of my hands. I had it by like a thumbnail on that grip, and my finger on the trigger grip, and that was it. And I had to come over with my left hand and grab the butt of that rod because it was going. I just heard that Evo foam just squeaking across my wet hand, and I'm just watching this, this $150 rod or $200 rod plus the $100 reel just going in. I was like, I can't believe I just did this again. I don't know if it was a big fish, because I just lost the grip that fast. But that was the second most aggressive bite I had all day, topped only by the striped bass at the end of the day, which just slammed it. So I made my mistakes too. Unfortunately, I didn't make any netting mistakes, that I can talk about, and I didn't have any decent fish, to worry about netting. I was just flipping everything, but yeah, it was. But it was a tough day for me. It was a tough bite in the afternoon. Hopefully it cleans up. Now, I do want to go back though. So John, you're saying it was too cold, right? You thought the dropping temperatures made them sluggish. I don't think that's what it was. I think Ed, you and I were talking about this. I think it was you and I. There were so many of us there. It's hard to remember who was talking about what. I was only on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. But we were talking about the temperature. So it was 68 degrees on the incoming. On the top, or the very end of the outgoing, it was about 74. And KB is asking, where was the tournament held? This was in North Wildwood, the Grassy Sound area. out of Grassy Sound Marina. So 68 degrees is the water. That's not too cold. Like that's actually in the zone. But I think the thing for me is I think it's a tough bite because there's no compelling reason for the flounder to go deep or to go shallow. It's not too cold for them, so they don't have to go up in the flats. It's not too hot for them, so they don't have to go down deep to get comfortable. They are literally comfortable everywhere. They can be at 50 feet. They can be at 20 feet. They can be at 5 feet, and they're going to be all good. Mike hooked that big one, the 25 plus, and he did measure it and see it was over 25 inches before it went out of the boat. He caught that in 12 to 15 feet. Jake, you caught yours at around 25 feet. John, you were hooking things down to 50. And I mean, we were even hooking things in the 8 foot.
Yeah, in that
in
creek.
the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we tried everything. We absolutely tried everything. And I almost went to Diesel's secret spot, but I didn't want to show everybody where it was. So, Diesel, I kept your secret still. It's still your secret spot.
I'm wondering if I probably ended up in Diesel's spot.
Well, you'll never
didn't.
know.
You didn't. I can tell you. I know that you didn't. The secret is still safe. All right. So we don't have a tournament coming up. Let's talk about the other thing. So, Jake, while you're on, you're pretty good at sheep's head too, right? So we want to talk a little bit about that. There was a Calcutta in there for sheep's head that you entered before you had an issue that kind of knocked you out of the tournament and continued fishing. So let's talk a little bit about sheep's head in the last few minutes that we have here. What was your experience with the sheep's head on Saturday?
So my game plan was actually primarily to really target a really big sheep's head. I fished the week prior and I hooked some decent ones. So this is I think in the beginning of the morning, like the start of the tournament, it's like slack high. So I hooked the first fish I hooked was really big because it took 3 like big runs, and as soon as I was like maybe 8-10 feet, it popped off, and I was heartbroken because I knew this was a good fish, and I just lost my chance. And so I kept fishing, caught 4 more sheep's head. They're about 13, 14 inches, and then the bite just died. So I went flounder fishing. And
you hooked the monster, you boated the monster, you showed everybody the monster flounder. Then you decided you're going back for sheep's head, right?
Yeah. And I go back and I get like another 14 incher, and then my drive decides to snap on me. So I'm like, what do I do? I can't even move right now. So I just get my paddle. I guess it's time to call it. And that was it. In the afternoon, I had to go back, paddle my way back.
That's the second Hobie of the day.
Yeah, 2 Hobies went down. Yours, luckily, it went down after you caught that nice fish. So at the end of the day, you can still smile and say you had a good day. The other guy, he wasn't fishing the tournament though, but he was on the sod bank with a broken rudder cable on his Hobie. So we Old Town guys are going to make fun of Hobie right now for a minute or two because we were all good.
While we're on the topic of kayaks, I saw a lot of people. I don't know that they were in the tournament or not, but I was kind of disheartened. I saw a lot of people not wearing PFDs. Yeah. I don't know if you took notice to that, but there was probably a good 4 or 5 people I saw not wearing them.
So I think it's actually in the most tournaments, and I'm not sure about Grassy. So I wear mine all the time, no matter what. Most tournaments, it's a requirement. If you don't wear it, you're disqualified. I know for a fact the Duke of Fluke, which I was reading through earlier tonight, it is a requirement. If you're caught without a PFD, you're done. You're out.
Yeah.
So, and it should be because they have some liability for you as well. Yeah, I did notice that there were a lot of people without PFDs on. It is a little disheartening.
Like I said, I don't know if they were part of the tournament or what they were doing, but it was unacceptable. And those boats, I mean, some of those creeks we were in, man, it's tight. And boats come whipping around a corner. They don't see us, nor do they care, you know?
Yeah, I got some good video of one just this guy all alone on this big cabin cruiser. You know, those big, I got a lot of money, but I don't know what to do on the water but drive types. You know, they don't fish, they don't have friends, they just want people to see them. So this guy's coming around. It must have been like a 35-foot Formula, It's all cabin, whatever they're called, cabin cruisers. And this guy comes around the corner right where we launched, and I'm fishing. I'm desperation time. You guys are all gone. You're off the water. You gave up. I'm like, I'm trying to get something away.
Yeah, we had enough.
And this guy comes around the corner, and you know how much water that pushes when you're going 40 miles an hour around a turn? And it just hit me. I was like, and the boat, there was a boat right in front of him that he passed, and they started yelling at him on my behalf. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But for the most part of the day, the boaters down in that area were awesome, except for the one that John had. John, you can talk about that if you want, but Ed actually made the comment right before we met up with you that he has never seen in this area people being so courteous.
Yeah, everybody was just chill. I mean, and I think a lot of the people we were around were in a tournament too. So
I think the problem was the separation of Stone Harbor and North Wildwood. I might have been dealing with the people from Wildwood because they suck.
Yeah, well, I'll say this as somebody who would consider Stone Harbor to be the main place. There's a lot of people that suck in Stone Harbor that just don't care. They'll run right over you.
So
I think you got them everywhere.
Yeah, where I ended up, it was definitely not that type of day for me. I had a lot of rude people. There was a few kayaks out there in the beginning in the back where we started, and there was a few respectful people in the boats. I had one dude just come hauling up, gets elbow to elbow with me, and then he taps my kayak with his boat, and words were said. I stood up, I almost jumped in his boat, and he took off. So that's one thing I could say is
I would have paid money to see you jump in another boat.
Dude,
that's so he actually ran. But you were drifting. He wasn't under power, right?
No, I was drifting, and he just wanted to drift right next to me because he just saw me catch a fish.
So it wasn't even an accident.
He tapped me. He tapped me. It wasn't.
But did he know? I guess what I'm asking is, did he realize he was going to tap you, or did he not care?
I don't think he cared. Was the problem? No. That's what irritated me.
Yeah, I always look at it like, and I'll tell boaters, they'll start kicking into the gear. I'm like, don't move. I will move around you. Unless I was there first, I'm the one who's going to move around you. You're in close to structure, I'll move. But if they don't care, that's a whole different thing. Yeah, you know what? And Swinger's in here saying Lunchbox. I don't know if you guys know Lunchbox. I love that guy. He was fishing the tournament as well. He had a close call with a boater who hit his rod in one of the creeks. So yeah, I guess Ed, we were just lucky for most of the day that everyone near us was nice, but it also could have been because we were there with 6 kayaks.
Yeah, I mean we were.
So it's hard to not slow down when you have 6 kayaks all over the place around you.
Yeah, I mean we were bigger than a boat. You know what I mean? So we were kind of hard to miss, but the one singles, it's tough. But it's definitely not like Mike had made a comment. He says the fishing community down there is not like AC. And he's right. Like when you fish in AC, man, that's like tactical fishing. You have to be on your head's got to be on a swivel, But down there, it's not as bad.
No, it's not. I don't know. I don't have very many issues with people. The only people that I ever had an issue was with Ocean City when I almost got run over twice in one day, and the guy yelled at me because he almost ran into me. That's the guy who yelled at me and said, "You're fat." I was like, it's okay, but you still almost hit me. I wasn't even in the channel. He was just talking to his bro. He was one of those, you guys all know them out on the water, and every fisherman hates this. The wahoo guys, the buddy with the boat, the one that owns the boat hammers the throttle. And then the jackass buddy goes, yeah, wahoo, as they start going, and he doesn't realize they're only going 25 miles an hour because his buddy has only got a bayliner with a 40 horsepower. They thinks he's going super fast. It's the wahoo guys that do it all the time. So anyway, we got a couple of comments in here. I do want to mention KB had an issue with his Old Town drive, and they are sending him under warranty a new drive system, which is good. It's going to save him $1,000.
We got here we got one for wrong person. Billy. He needs to get a kayak. Come on, Billy, you can do it.
Yeah, we need everybody to get kayaks. We want to have a big fleet out there.
Karen and
we need to get. Yeah, we're going to go to Karen and Darren soon, and we're going to camp out there fishing the deep water right in front of their dock. So anyone that wants to go out with Karen and Darren annoying with us, let me know, and we'll let you know when we're going to do. Well, we'll just announce it on the live stream. Who cares?
I'm ready to go fluking, dude. I'm actually ready to go fluking in front of their house, right on top of that piece.
Well, and the boats can go there too.
Yeah.
It's a great spot for boats, kayaks, whatever. And when if we're all together and close, anyone can run into any boat and drift into each other. It's not going to matter. As long as we're in front of Karen and Darren's, and Darren is just really upset. That's all that's going to matter.
We need someone to rig a stereo system that doesn't play Kid Rock.
Oh, John's out. All right. I think that's going to cover most of it. Jake, you have anything you want to add in? You ready to join Team Fat Dad Fishing?
Yeah, I'd love to fish with you guys more. It was a great time. That's my first tournament. You guys are great.
It's all downhill
Tournaments
from here, man.
Tournaments are fun. Yeah, like you've ruined yourself, man, because you just won your first tournament with the biggest fish in the entire tournament. Just to set your expectations, I don't care who you are. That's not going to happen all the time.
Oh yeah, I don't plan on that.
We'll get your drive fixed, because when I'm down next week, if we can get out together and target some sheep's head, that would be a lot of fun.
That sounds great. Definitely good to get now. Thank you.
So there you have it. Huge thanks to Jake for coming on to talk about the day, and congratulations to him for winning the tournament with that 6.8 pound backwater doormat. If you want to follow Jake and his fishing adventures, you can find him on Instagram at jcanna_93. Now, before I go, if you're not already following or subscribed to this podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. And of course, a positive review of this podcast on any of the platforms that you listen to it on would also be appreciated, and it helps us to grow the podcast and draw more guests in the future. So until next week, until next episode, get out there, get on the water, and get some tight lines.